Very smart thinking, Michelle. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
What's going on?
We're excited to see you.
I feel like the president. Very official. I just need my tie. Wow. Pretty awesome.
So we won't see you on Once Upon a Time anymore?
I don't know. I'm not saying.
Okay.
Could possibly be. Sydney's in the dungeon, you know, so it's a good possibility he could come back, you know. I think they leave it that way just in case that could be a possibility. I know they're planning some wild stuff this season on Once Upon a Time, introducing new characters and sort of letting go of folks who you thought could be regulars, and I think it's exciting for an audience to meet new people. But I certainly love The Man in the Mirror and Sydney, and I think there's always the possibility that he could get resurrected at any moment.
So tell us about your character.
Oh, Captain Tom Neville. The more I think about this guy, the more I think he's going to be a lot of fun. He is obviously an enforcer, a guy who has to keep people in line and keep the peace in this new world of revolution, and is a guy who has a trait that is going to be indelible to him. I think he's a master manipulator, but he also has a very hair trigger kind of temper in many ways, and he is, without him, there would be anarchy. And in the world of revolution, where we have people trying to survive, he has to do what he has to do to create and sustain this Monroe Republic. Yet he's a storyteller. He's a storyteller. He's a guy who likes to tell stories because he realizes people are uneasy around him, and so they're uneasy because they have something to hide. If they're uneasy, they have something to hide, and whatever they have to hide, he's got to find out what that is. Coupled with that, the Monroe Republic is a republic that is interested in power. And what happened to the power? Where'd the power go? And is it still out there? Is there a link to finding out how to restore the power in the world? And I think he is in search of that. And that is his mandate. And that is his job. And so he has to be very, very slick and very manipulative. And yet I think you'll see as the series progresses, he's also has some compassion and has some grace in what he does. I think he does, underneath it all, care about people, even though he's responsible for taking lives.
But he's not the top of the food chain. You serve under a guy.
That's exactly right.
How does that relationship work?
Well, he serves under Sebastian Monroe, who is someone who was in the military from the very beginning when the power went out, someone who we have yet to see all of his traits and attributes, but someone who is interested in being in charge of this new world, and he has a great first soldier in Neville. I don't know what could happen. Eric is so brilliant in the way he created this storyline, but what could possibly happen is that Neville could get greedy and want it for himself. Monroe could run into problems himself as well. But I think right now, although we've never seen them together yet, they possibly are a very good team.
Did you ride in on a horse in the pilot?
I sure did. Boy, I'm so excited to be riding a horse. I'm a guy who grew up on westerns, between westerns and Flash Gordon, and I think this show that kind of reflects the nature of what the show could be like. Because in a way, without power, you have to go back to some very organic and very natural ways of living, yet you have to be futuristic in your thinking in terms of what the world could become. But I love horses, and I can't wait to be riding that pony really fast.
Have you started shooting the next episode?
We start on Monday.
Oh, do you?
Yes,
okay.
yeah. We've all had to relocate or try to find ourselves getting to Wilmington, North Carolina, and many of us are still looking for places to live and places to stay. But we took this time off to come out here to Comic-Con because the show has will have such a great Comic-Con following. It has really elements of Lost, yet this is a completely action-filled, dramatic show. So although we have storylines that are about relationships between people, and I've taken, as you've probably seen the pilot, I've taken hostage Danny to be able to get to someone else, another relative of his, and so it's being chased and chasing at the same time, trying to find more information and people, yet also holding someone hostage so I can get that information and use that as use him as a pawn when I need it. But I love the fact that I'm on a horse and my men are kind of being pulled by a horse-drawn carriage or a horse-drawn Cadillac could be down the road or pickup truck vehicle. It leads to us to think about what could happen if something like this. We're all dependent on all of our technology, and I was saying earlier, we have cell phones, and many of us don't remember our home phone number anymore, or even our mothers, because all we have to do is hit mom, or hit Charles or Joan, and I think that weakens our mental capacity, that weakens our ability to think and to be able to think clearly for ourselves and strengthen that muscle. So when you don't use that muscle, it goes away. I could remember 50 phone numbers years ago. I always prided myself on it, and the cell phone has sort of killed that. So what will we do without technology? How will we live? How will we relate? You've all been in this situation, right? You wake up one morning, you're thinking about your friend of yours or a relative, whether it be your mother, father, daughter, whoever it is. You're thinking about them so very strongly. And 5 minutes later, the phone rings, and you wonder why that happens. That is the ability we all have to call each other mentally, and to know that someone we know may be in need of hearing our voice for solace or comfort. But we don't rely on that, and we don't rely on our gut anymore. And this show will show you how we can possibly develop that again.
Thank you.
Thank you.